Hi everyone, it's Brianda again, a beginner to virtual sculpting as you know me. Today I'm going to show you how I sculpt my cat Tlaloc in Kodon. He's a little rascal as you can see, and I thought it would be a fun project. I get started using voxels. It is very simple to use, and I don't like to rush this process because from my own experience, which is limited, this part tends to define the way your sculpt will look in the end. I also like to use the grid that you see here. I like to guide the size of my sculpt on it. I realized that as long as I work with this grid, or within this grid, I don't really experience any problems with Kodon becoming slow, or things like that can happen when your sculpt is way too big. So you can see me try to get the basic shape of my cat first. I didn't want to use any pictures of him as a guide. I kind of wanted to challenge myself to see just how much I could just do from memory, I guess. I don't really have a particular style in mind or that I made me for or anything like that. This sculpt is pretty much just myself trying to analyze the process that I usually work with and figuring out where I'm the weakest, so to speak. While I work, I like to listen to my favorite music because it makes me just enjoy the process even more, and it makes me happy, so that's me. I tend to save my progress often to avoid any loss of work. Since Kodon is still being developed, those kinds of things tend to happen. So, if I save often, I can go back to the last thing I was working with and just continue without so much work loss. When you sculpt with voxels, you have the chance to do it without symmetry. That means that I can do things on one side of the sculpt without the other looking the same. And for example, in Tlaloc's case, I would like to do that to make his tail without it branching on both sides of his body, right? So that he doesn't suddenly have two tails. Then I go to the sculpt room, and the way I can compare this mode is basically like pushing a mesh, or a wireframe. Is basically what it's called. Pushing it to get a certain shape from it. The more squares you have, or properly called, they're called polys. And the more you have, the more detailed and smooth your sculpt will look. This is why I do something called a remesh here, which is basically to add more squares to my wireframe so it doesn't look so choppy, I guess. I really enjoy working in this mode for some reason. I think it has something to do with just being able to look at the squares as I'm moving them or shaping them. It's something very satisfying about that. Something I can't do in this mode though is begin working without symmetry and then go back to it. It will basically just make everything the same on both sides of the grid, and that's not what I wanted. So I realized that I started working too early without symmetry because I wanted to move his head to the side a little bit, or have his tail or whatever. And so I ended up working without symmetry for the rest of the session because of that. And I did my best to try to not make it look so wonky here. And you can see me adjusting the power here of the move tool, so I can use it to make the tail again. Then here I'm sculpting one eye, and I ended up deleting the other one just because I can make a copy of the one I already had, and I put it on the other side, and voila, Tlaloc the cat, a beginner sculpt. So let me know if you'd like me to continue to work on little Tlaloc here. Maybe, I don't know, over time I can get to the point where it actually resembles my cat. Thank you for watching, and just, sculpt away, I guess.